The next category is going through and breaking down each model, I guess. So what we're looking at, what models we're looking at, what payloads they've got, all that kind of stuff. In my opinion, one vehicle that is a strong contender in my eyes in that 0 to 100,000 K range is the new next gen Ranger.
Absolutely, yeah. It is really chalk and cheese. It's miles above
in the V6 model.
In the V6 model.
In my opinion, only milk and juice comes in 2 litres.
Yes.
So if we were looking at the next gen Ranger, I would say 100% that 3 litre V6 would be the only platform to actually consider, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Brendo, I know this is a hot topic in sales, mate, on the next gen Ranger.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a Ranger, like I said, at the moment is probably, in my opinion as well, probably one of the best, I guess, entry-level new vehicle dual cabs that we can look at and modify. The amount of accessories that are already available on the market for such a new car. You know, bull bars, wheels, tyre, suspension, and GVM, GCM upgrades now available. So we're starting to see these sort of flow through, and we're bombing out Rangers that are coming from all over the country at Core, you know, and people are just going to town on them, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I know you see some of the stuff on the news and on the internet, you know, about these Rangers having issues. Yes, there is some problems there. The latest one I saw the other day was a software update that when the vehicle's in low speed, they're starting to have issues and the vehicle can stop. One thing I've said to heaps of people over the years, everybody forgets about these new models, right? So you go back to 2007, 2008, right? The release of VDJ or 200 series Land Cruiser.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, dust and turbos, everything like that, heaps of issues with them.
Yep.
Everybody forgets that. And they go, oh, my trusty old 200, she's going to go everywhere and it's never going to break down. D-Max BT50 MY21 model.
Yeah, like every vehicle's got its flaws. No vehicle's perfect out of the factory, and we always want to try and build the cars like we touched on just before. A Ram, you know that if you're going to set it up for towing, you're going to change the fuel tank because it's suiting that sort of thing. A 200 series or a 79 series or something like one of those VDJs. One of the first things you're going to want to do is throw a new airbox on it.
Yeah.
You know, you know, 79 series, we're going to get a tune or engine remap or something like that. We need
change the clutch.
Change the clutch.
There's $1,500.
Getting more power. You need to stop the thing, so you need to upgrade the brakes because the brakes are shocking in them.
Yeah.
You know, and the list goes on. So.
But like going back to that Ranger platform.
Out the box.
Yeah, out of the box. You know, we're looking at payload, so we've got some specs here. So we're looking at a double cab XLT pickup, I guess, so with a tub. You know, you got 995 kilos of payload straight up. So, you know, you're just under that ton. Out of the box, that vehicle with the V6 and the 10 speed, in my opinion, in that under 100k mark, would be my choice. That's all. I know, Brendo, you're a Mazda fan, mate.
I am, a Mazda fan, and the same with the Isuzu D-Max. Now, I guess, much the same platform, the same trusty 3 litre 4J engine, which I guess comes back to the reliability side of things. You know, same as why people go to the 70 series. People know them, they've been around for ages. Same with the D-Max, they've got the old forklift engine in the 4J, so it's as trusty as anything. It's just the new technology and that, but same sort of thing. Out of the box, we're looking at just over 1,000 kilos in
1,055
payload
kilos.
in an equivalent sort of model in that pickup as well. So that with the Ranger and the GVMs and all that sort of stuff's available, gives you heaps of flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, how about we compare those to an American truck?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we seeing a lot more of these American trucks on the road. I know we've touched on, you know, the fuel tank side of things as well. But I mean, if you are looking to put some decent accessories on it or put a canopy on it, you know, like something we do here. I mean, how are we going to go with the GVM side?
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. That's consideration. I guess the rest of the lineup in that 0 to 100k mark, we're looking at a Hilux as well. One thing I didn't realise, but we noted this morning, that unless you go to an SR5 Hilux, if you do the SR model, being the base model, you only got 3,200 kilos in towing capacity. in a standard dual cab, which is something that
in an auto.
Yeah, in an auto. So if you go the manual,
Yeah, you get 3,500.
Yep.
But in auto, you only get 3,200 towing.
yep. So unless you go to an SR5, which you then get the 3.5 ton towing in both auto and manual. That's
No,
all
it's
I know.
actually- no,
Auto,
30,
yeah, autos.
so all the autos are 3,200 towing.
Yep.
And the manuals are 35.
Yep.
So
So unless you want to drive a Manuel car and it's a Hilux, you're 3,200 kilos in towing capacity for all of the auto range. So the other vehicle to look at in that 0 to 100, which we touched on before, is a 79 series. Right now, on paper, the list price of a 79 series is $77,200. I think that needs to skip a class.
It does need to.
I think it needs to go in the 100 to 150 because to drop $23,000 on a 79 series isn't bloody hard when you start looking at some of the upgrades. But I think for the purposes of what we're doing, it'll stay in the 0 to 100 category and roll with that. The other one might be the V-Dub.
Yes, yeah,
as well.
Yeah, Volkswagen Amarok. I mean, Ford Ranger, Volkswagen Amarok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's same platform, so we've got to put that in the mix, don't we?
Yeah, but one thing with the Volkswagen Amaroks, I guess they've redesigned their shape and all that recently, but
They
as
look
much
good
as
too. They look real good.
they do, as much as they are the same, the aftermarket side of things
Yeah.
isn't there like it is with the Ranger, despite
Yeah.
it being the same thing. So things like GVMs require a whole heap of vehicle testing, and they need to test every single model in that range to make it kit compliant. So getting a GVM upgrade for an Amarok is virtually impossible compared
Yeah, so
to,
even though it's the same car.
even though it's the same car,
Yes.
it's a big cost factor for manufacturers or suspension manufacturers to offer something like that.
Even the previous model, how many Amarok owners have you had walk into the showroom and say, I want this real cool bull bar, and you say, mate, sorry, they don't make
Yeah.
it for that model. They're like, oh, okay, no worries. That's also, that might be something to consider as well with the vehicle platform. I think the Amarok for MY23 or 22 might get a bit more traction than the previous model because they are running the V6 and it's on the Ford platform and all that kind of stuff. So I think they might get a bit more traction from aftermarket accessory manufacturers for bull bars and stuff like that than what they have previously. I guess other vehicles in that 0 to 100 range, I think that's really about it. There is more, as Brendo said earlier, but I don't think they need to be considered as a full-blown touring vehicle.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah,
So-
just going back to that, the very first topic is finding the vehicle that you got to be happy with the vehicle. It's all well and good saying, well, this is going to be the suitable vehicle for me, but if you don't like it, what's the point?
Yeah. And in the next class, we're 100 to 150. So, BA, what cars we sort of covering off in that medium? I wouldn't say medium, it's upper end as well. Well, I guess we're looking at Ram.
Yeah. So your American trucks.
Yep.
So the smaller end of the American truck, should we say, 1500s. So you got your Silverados.
Yep.
You got your Ram 1500s.
Yep. I think the 300 series.
Shop 300, Shop 200.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean
more
even
the
the new F-150s.
Yeah, new F-150.
F-150s.
Yep.
So in that sort of, in my opinion, that sort of range, your American trucks, your lighter style American trucks, so your 1500s, have to, if you're going to put a canopy on or you're going to use them as a more livable, they have to have a GVM upgrade.
Yep.
They just don't have the payload.
Yep.
But
A lot of people think American trucks are big, don't they?
Oh, for
And
sure.
they think that they can haul ass, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
And for towing, great. Like out of the box, 4.5 ton towing. There's nothing in the smaller range that can match
compares.
it,
No.
and that's where I think they fit into the scheme of things. Is for towing. You look at my Ram 1500, for instance, it's got less carrying capacity than your Ranger.
Yeah.
It's
By a
that-
long way.
By a long way, yeah.
You know?
But that's what you want to do. I tow a caravan. I don't have a canopy. I don't put a heap of stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I take my caravan, and then I go out if I'm going to go full drive, and I use the car as, pretty much just the car on its own.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got a canopy on yours, and you use it a different way. So,
I guess that with the Rams and their slogan, Rams are great, don't get me wrong, the whole eats utes for breakfast. If you were to take that slogan and compare it to Payloads, it might eat Jeeps for breakfast. But other than that, everything else is smashing a Ram 1500 on payload. One of the biggest sellers that we have is that Ram 1500 GVM upgrade.
Oh, they're in here all day, every day, aren't
Hey, that many Rams come through the shop, it is not funny. And what they're doing is they're doing long range tank, a bull bar, you know what I mean, some roof racks, but GVM upgrades.
Yeah, GVM.
Yep,
So-
for sure. And exhaust systems. So one thing I know with fuel prices at the moment, owning a Ram or a Chevy being a petrol platform, it's probably a good thing, because the petrol, though, they might use a little bit more. That petrol's coming in cheaper, but the one contender that is about to land that I think, in my opinion, is going to smash it, and I'm a Ford fan anyway,
150s?
is the new 150. Now, from what I know of, and look, put a comment in, let us know, from what I know of, Ram for 2024 are moving away from the 5.7 litre Hemi, and they're going to, I think it's a
Petrol.
a Rebel
V6.
they're calling it, or something like that.
Oh, straight six, sorry.
Yeah, so it's going to be a similar platform. So the new F-150 is coming out with a 3.5 litre twin turbo, which is their EcoBoost engine. I think that
Single
engine's
turbo? Twin turbo?
Twin turbo.
Twin turbo.
Yep.
Cool.
So performance-wise, the torque side of things, it's probably one thing where a petrol engine lets itself down is the amount of torque over diesel.
Yeah.
So Ford...
I think they put out more power than the Ranger Raptor.
Yes. Yep. So the F-150 platform, Ford are using that 3.5 litre V6 with the twin turbos to try and increase the torque. I'm interested. We've got one on order, so we're hoping ours turns up very soon. We're going to be doing some testing and maybe even another shop talk video on it. I'm interested to see how that's going to go towing wise, lined up against a Ram, and see the difference in the 5.7 litre Hemi versus that 3.5 litre.
It's going to be a battle of the big boys over here, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to win one sooner or later.
Yeah, you do, that's all. So
Big in some areas.
yeah. But I think that, the F-150, it's going to shake things up a bit in the Aussie market. They're only offering 2 models they're bringing out, unlike Ram, where Ram have got a plethora of vehicles now that you can choose from for 2024. The F-150s are going to be XLT and a Laramie. So they're only bringing in 2 specs, and both models are loaded with chrome, which I absolutely hate, but we can sort that out at Core Offroad and we can get rid of it all. So I guess that's it. The Chop 300 might be the only other one to land in that 150 category, and much like the 79 series, in my opinion, I believe a Chop 300 should land in the 150 and over. Because
what's the price on a 300 series on paper anyway?
You're looking at $130,000 for a VX.
Well, Sahara, the pricing that we've got here, I think a Sahara is 131, a VX is 113, and a GXL is 100 grand.
So 100 odd grand plus.
Yep.
And what's a chop, Brendan?
I'd say 50 to 60k at least,
With a
with the
upgrade.
GVM and the appropriate suspension and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So straight away you're over that 150 mark before any other accessories or canopy or whatever you plan to do.
So if we were talking about wagons, I guess the 300 series would land in that 100 to 150 mark.
Yep.
But we're talking about dual cabs, so I think we throw the 300 series in the mix with the big boys.
Yep.
That's probably realistic.
Yep.
So in that top class, being over 150 is going to be F-Trucks, 250 and 350, Ram 2500, 3500, Chev 2500, 3500, GMC Denali, I guess, if you're into square guards and things like that. But the other one would be that Chop 300 series.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm in that category. For those of you who don't know, I had a 79 series. I did 160,000 Ks in it. Absolutely loved it. Brent hacks on me all the time.
It was the best car you could buy at the time. There was nothing better. You couldn't convince Jimmy that there was anything better than a 79 back then until American Trucks.
Look, and it's... once you go to that next part, and look, to be honest, a lot of it's got to do with the engine.
Yeah.
Inside a new next-gen Ranger Wild Track would probably be nicer than what my F-Truck is. Yeah. What you can't go past is the drivetrain and the engine. You know, you're talking chalk and cheese. If we were to compare, let's do a 79 series, right? So on paper, a 79 series dual cab, brand new, off Toyota's factory floor, has 430 Newton meters of torque at the flywheel. My F350 has 1430 Newton meters off the factory floor at the flywheel. Now, we're talking 1,000 Newton meters more torque. That's what you notice. That's all. And you put 3.5 ton behind a vehicle that's in that 150 category and above, you don't know the car's there. Honestly, like that thing, I scare people when we go to overtake them, because if they're sitting on 80 k's and we're in an overtaking lane, you accelerate that fast that it scares them because you come past them so quick. So not going over the speed limit, obviously. I guess that chopped 300, Brendo.
You're just not going to do that though, are you?
I know.
Not even close.
And this we're going to get those people that love Toyotas and love the 200 or the 300s and can't go past them. Their best platform, this where everyone's got their own opinion.
Yeah.
And I think we're probably all on the same bike. I look at the price of a chopped 300 and I'd go a Ram 2500 every day of the week.
Yep. 100%.
But that's my opinion.
Yep.
So,
I'm with you, mate. If a chopped 300 was costing me 160,000, at that price, I'm only getting a GXL for starters. So if you're going to spend that much money, you probably would want a VX at a minimum.
Yeah. So
your 130,000 plus your 60, you're at 190 now. List price of a Ram 2500 is 157,950 now. This was at June 30. That pricing may be a little bit more. From what I know of, they're around the 180 mark drive away. So if I had a choice to buy a Ram 2500 or a chopped 300 VX, I would take the Ram and throw 10 grand back in my pocket.
Absolutely.
Every day of the week. It's, from my side of things, it's not even comparable.
But I mean also the American truck side of things too. I mean that rolls off the floor like that. Straight off the production floor.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to expect these things out of a chopped 300, chopped 200, whatever have you. These things, I mean, yes, they're getting them right up there in the GVM and GCM side of things.
Yep.
But, you know, are we expecting too much from these cars?
Look, and the 300 series over the 200 have gone down in engine platform.
Yeah, smaller. Yeah.
That's a lot to ask out of a little engine.
It is, and at the end of the day, I would say cube's a king. You know, to compare that 3.6 litre
6.7
to a 6.7, I'd take the 6.7 every day of the week. That's all.
And then if you're a family and you've got kids, you look at the room in the back of a Ram 2500 compared to a Chop 200.
Yep.
Like, it's
For sure.
night and day.
Yeah. One thing you learn pretty quick in a US truck, when somebody goes to get in your car, you literally cannot reach over to get the other door handle. You've got to undo your seatbelt and climb across the centre console.
So if you're one of these people that loves to drive with your hand on the missus' leg or something like that, choose a cruiser. Choose a cruiser.
Grab a 79 series if you're really close to your missus then.
You can lift up the centre seat in the Ram.
Yeah.
The console, and you can sit right there if you have to have that. There's always a solution.
Yeah. So I think that, 300 series, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Even in that column, Nico touched before about GVM and GCM side of things, that 150 and over column is kind of limitless, really. Like GCM on my car is nearly 14 tonne. So it's ridiculous. But when a vehicle is designed to have a GCM of say 10, 12, 13 tonne, the brakes are then designed to be suitable for towing heavier loads. When your GVM is higher, the vehicle's braking system is designed to suit that. Now you take 79 series for example, you can increase that GVM to 4.2 tonne, but you remain with the factory brakes. Now I know my 79 series almost had a dint in the floor pan from where you'd smash the brakes trying to stop and the thing wouldn't stop. So there is options out there for stuff like that, brake boosters and all that kind of stuff from J-Max and all that kind of jazz, but as a standard off the factory floor, I don't know, the US trucks are very hard to go by.
Yep, I agree.
That's all. So that's what we're running in the models for this segment. We'll then move through into a bit more about the performance side of things, about the lineup, I think GVM and GCM, to recap, US trucks, you don't normally have to worry about it. I know we do plenty of Ram 2500s here.
Yeah, that's one thing I'd just touch on. Ram 2500s, I think they're fantastic. They're probably one of my favourite cars. But the GVM on them is still, because the coil rear end is still low. So we do a heap of GVM upgrades.
Yep.
On the Ram 2500, it's still leaf. If you go to the 3500, the Ram 2500 is still coil.
Yep.
If you go to the Ram 3500, it's leaf, and it's got a lot more payload from factory.
Yep.
But if it was myself, I'd still go 2500 and do a GVM upgrade, so you still got the coil rear end for comfort.
Yeah. But yeah, that GVM side with the 25s, we're taking to 5,400 kilos. So you've got heaps of GCM in the US platforms, especially in the 2500, 3500 range. But where they fall short is the GVM side of things. I know the new F-150 that's coming. I've read all the specs. The new F-150, you're going to laugh, is coming with like 670 kilos of payload, which is pathetic. But the front and rear axle ratings are a lot higher. So that Ford platform, when companies do start offering a GVM, I think the max combined front and rear axle rating, and don't quote me, you can leave a comment, that's fine, is going to be closer to that 1,000 kilo mark.
Yep.
At the max front and rear axle rating. Yep. So as that vehicle lands, more aftermarket manufacturers and suspension companies get a hold of it, that payload or what will be available for that vehicle will start to increase. But yeah, I think I'm 5,600 kilos factory GVM on my car, and I haven't done a GVM upgrade. I think I can go to 6.2 tonne or 6.3 tonne if I do the GVM upgrade.
Yeah, more on that too. Might want to touch on license classes.
Yeah.
So something for people to keep in mind, if they're looking to purchase one of these big American trucks.
Yep.
All great.
Yep.
But bear in mind your license class.
Yeah. So I've got light rigid. So it's basically anything over 4.5 tonne, you need to go to light rigid. Yep. So if you do a GVM upgrade on, say, a Ram 2500,
yep, you're going
to go over the 4.5 tonne. You do have the choice too that you can actually buy the vehicle with a lower payload. I know with my F truck, I could have ordered a vehicle that had bought a vehicle that had a lower GVM, which meant I could have driven a 3500, 350 off a standard.
And another thing, I suppose, to touch on that as well is, just keep in mind, the amount of V's you can actually have.
Yeah.
If you got an American truck and you have to have an increased license, then
What is it 0?
0.
Yeah, 0. So
well, I don't know. There's conjecture. I thought that it was only if your vehicle had GVM over 22 tonne that you had to blow zeros.
Yeah, I thought it was 0 over anything over 4495 G or
4.5 tonne. Yeah.
You had to have zeros. So if anyone knows the correct answer,
in WA, by the way.
Yeah, in WA, because we're a bit different to a lot of other states in a few different ways. But yeah, throw a comment in. Let us know what the
rules are.
Tell Jimmy he can't ever drink. That'd be fantastic.
That's fine, mate. That's fine.
And what it's like in your state, whether you can get away with it or not.
Yeah. So that's probably another consideration too, especially if you love your standard squeeze.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it might be another consideration too with that 150 and over category at whether you can have a beer and drive home. So,
or whether you're just going to go on the beach and have a beer.
Yeah.
I love having a beer when I go on the beach.
Go down the beach, sunset, have a beer and drive back.
Yeah, but if you got to know that you got to blow zero, it sort of might, might just mean you got to spend a bit more time in the water.
Yeah, mate, I'd rather not have the beer and drive an F truck, so I'll hold off. I'll stick with the bottle of water. I'll roll with that for sure.